Canada has taken an unexpected and decisive step in response to recent U.S. border policies. The Canadian government announced stricter border regulations aimed at addressing growing concerns over security, immigration, and cross-border movement. This video marks a significant shift in Canada's approach to border management, signaling a strong stance against U.S. measures that have impacted bilateral relations. Hello everyone. Welcome back to our channel, Canada Immigration. We hope you're doing great. In this video, we're going to talk about. If you are interested in this topic, please pay attention and watch the video through to the end to get all the information. Please hit like and subscribe, and don't forget to push the notification bell for an upcoming video. Canada is taking unprecedented steps to retaliate against U.S. policies, launching a wave of tariffs, tolls, and product bans that are already impacting American businesses. These measures, which target key industries and regions that heavily rely on Canadian trade, signal a significant shift in Canada's economic approach. With tensions rising between the two nations, the question now is whether this is a temporary trade dispute or the beginning of a long-term economic realignment. New tariffs and toll hikes target U.S. goods. Canada's latest actions include imposing tariffs on 11 American products that previously enjoyed free trade. These tariffs are aimed at industries that rely on seamless cross-border commerce, increasing costs and disrupting supply chains. British Columbia, in particular, has raised tolls on U.S. trucks transporting goods to Alaska, making it more expensive for American businesses to move their products. Since Canada provides the most practical route for Alaska-bound shipments, these new tolls create unavoidable costs that U.S. companies will have to absorb. Trucking companies, already operating on slim profit margins, are now forced to pass these costs on to their customers or face financial strain. Food, electronics, raw materials, and countless other goods that previously moved across the border at a lower cost are now tied up in higher expenses and logistical challenges. As rerouting through the U.S. adds significant time and fuel costs, there's no easy way around Canada's new border rules. Liquor tariffs hit U.S. alcohol industry hard. Perhaps the most high-profile move is British Columbia's decision to pull U.S. alcohol brands from government-controlled liquor store shelves. Canadian liquor stores previously imported hundreds of millions of dollars worth of U.S. alcohol annually, with Kentucky bourbon and other iconic brands dominating the market. However, with these imports suddenly halted, American distilleries, breweries, and wineries have lost one of their largest foreign markets overnight. Bars, restaurants, and retailers across Canada that depended on these brands now face shortages and higher costs. U.S. liquor producers, meanwhile, are scrambling to find alternative buyers for excess inventory. Kentucky and Tennessee, home to the U.S. bourbon industry, are particularly hard hit as a once lucrative export market evaporates. Ontario's 25% energy price hike impacts U.S. businesses. Adding to the strain, Ontario has imposed a 25% increase on energy exports to American businesses, forcing industries that rely on Canadian electricity to absorb the higher costs or find alternative power sources. Factories, mining operations, and manufacturing plants in states like Michigan and Minnesota are seeing their energy expenses skyrocket overnight. These states, which have historically depended on Ontario's affordable electricity, now face the difficult decision of either scaling back operations or paying a premium to maintain their energy supply. The hardest-hit regions include red states with high energy demands and strong economic ties to Canadian energy. Kentucky and Tennessee are bearing the brunt of liquor tariffs, while Midwest manufacturing states are contending with rising electricity prices. These areas also happen to be the same regions that previously supported U.S. tariffs on Canadian goods, making Canada's retaliatory moves even more targeted and impactful. Canada's shift away from U.S. economic dependence. Mark Carney, Canada's former central banker and current economic strategist, has made it clear that Canada is preparing for a future where U.S. trade is no longer a pillar of its economy. His long-term plan involves reducing Canada's reliance on American markets, diversifying trade relationships, and strengthening domestic industries. This shift means exploring new trade agreements with other countries, building self-sufficient industries, and minimizing exposure to unpredictable U.S. trade policies. The effects of this shift are already being felt. Supply chains are being rewritten, economic strategies are being reworked, and Canadian businesses are being encouraged to look elsewhere for growth. Carney's vision is to insulate Canada's economy from the volatility of U.S. trade cycles, ensuring stability in the long run. Decline in cross-border travel hurts U.S. border economies. The fallout from these policies extends beyond goods and energy. Cross-border travel between the U.S. and Canada, a key component of border economies, is also declining. Fewer Canadians are crossing the border for shopping, vacations, and business, impacting American border towns that depend on Canadian spending. Retailers, hotels, and tourism businesses that relied on Canadian customers are now experiencing a steep decline in revenue. Cities like Buffalo, Detroit, and Seattle, which once thrived on cross-border travel, are feeling the pinch. Airlines and travel companies that operated cross-border routes are also adjusting to lower demand. Since Canada is one of the largest sources of international visitors to the U.S., a sustained drop in travel will result in lost revenue, job cuts, and economic downturns in regions that relied on Canadian spending. Long-term impact: a permanent economic divide? With economic tensions escalating, it's becoming clear that this is not a short-term dispute. Canada's moves are not just about retaliating against U.S. policies, they reflect a broader strategy to reshape the country's economic future. As Canada reduces its dependence on the U.S., the long-standing economic ties between the two countries may become increasingly strained. If the current trajectory continues, American businesses and industries that have traditionally relied on Canadian markets may have to rethink their long-term strategies. The cost of doing business with Canada is rising, and U.S. companies are already feeling the impact. Whether this marks a temporary standoff or a permanent economic divide remains to be seen, but one thing is certain: Canada's message is loud and clear: it's no longer business as usual. With these unexpected border changes, Canada is sending a clear message to the U.S. and the international community. As these policies take effect, they could reshape the dynamics of North American border security and immigration. Whether you're a frequent traveler, an immigrant, or simply following international developments, these new rules are bound to have lasting implications. Stay informed as the situation continues to unfold. That is all for today, in this video. What are your thoughts on this? Please let us know in the comments section below. Thanks for watching the entire video. Hopefully, the information is useful to you. See you later, in the next video. Till then, take care.